Arkadaşlar Moto Guzzi fabrikasının içindeyiz. Şu anda kırmızı kapının içeriden açılmasını izleyeceğiz. Sonra da müze tarafına doğru, bu tarafa doğru gideceğiz ve gezeceğiz. Bu sene içerideki inşaattan dolayı onu 105. yılda tamamlamayı düşünüyorlar. Fabrikanın orta kısmı kapalı. Sadece bize müze açık. Yine onu göreceğiz. Ama önce kırmızı kapı nasıl açılacak onu göreceğiz.
We start from upstairs. Okay, welcome to Moto Guzzi Museum. My name is Marco. I work for Piaggio Group since 2001 and in Moto Guzzi from almost 10 years. I work in the logistics department and today I will be your tour guide at the museum. Here you are in front of the first prototype that Carlo Guzzi and Giorgio Parodi realized here in Mandello in a workshop. They were friends, they met together during the First World War. Giorgio Parodi was an aviator and Carlo Guzzi was his mechanics. Carlo explained his idea to Giorgio and another friend, Ravelli, Giovanni. His idea was to make his own motorcycle factory after coming back from the war. Here, they joined this idea, and when they come back, they realized this prototype here in Mandello. This prototype already has some innovation, like the engine, the horizontal engine, because all the motorcycle at that period has a vertical engine, okay? So they place an horizontal engine because of some reason for the cooling, so more power, and to lower the weight, easy to drive the motorcycle. The problem is that when they finish this prototype, Carlo Guzzi ran out of money, okay? So what they do, they ask a loan to Giorgio Parodi's father, that he was a very rich man from Genova, and he come here, he saw this project, and he agreed to give them some money to start the activity. Okay, he wrote a letter. After that, we will see the original letter, in which he give them about 2,000 Italian lira. That is like €2 now, $2. Okay, they start the activity. Originally, they want to start in Genova because of the supply chain. Was easy to find material there. But then, due to some problem with the strike and the government, they decide to move in Mandello because Carlo Guzzi had a house here in Mandello. After 2 years, they start with the mass production. So we move here, and you will see the first mass production motorcycle made by Moto Guzzi, and the name is Normale 500.
We have a question. What's the reason for doing this?
Also yesterday they asked me this question, but it's a very good question, technical question. It's a device in substitution that now you have the electronic injection and electronic fuel pump. This system is the manual fuel pump. Okay. Before to start, you have to switch here 1, 2, or 3 times. Okay, and this is to allow air to go too much air, okay? Okay. To keep in pressure, yes, the fuel inside yes. So this is the first model. It's a 500cc. They made 17 pieces of this bike. We have also here some innovation. Small innovation is the central stand. The first bike ever made with a central stand, because before all motorbike was made with the lateral stand only. But the most important thing is the eagle. Okay, that is the Moto Guzzi now is the brand. You identify the brand with the eagle, you know? Why the eagle? Because before I told you about a third friend. That third friend was an aviator too, and he died in a plane crash, testing a plane. So they decided to put the eagle, because the eagle was the Air Force at that period. So in his memory, they decided to put the eagle on the brand. Okay. This is the second model. Okay, this is the second mass production model made. The name is GT, that is Great Tourism, and they also call Norge or Norge in Italian. Why? Because together with Carlo Guzzi brother, Moto Guzzi realized that made for the first time in history a rear suspension on a motorbike. You see the difference from that one and this one, okay? So to test this bike, Carlo Guzzi brother took a trip Polar Circle, okay? Since the first Zeppelin that go ahead the Polar Circle, name was Norge. This trip was very good. Newspaper, the press talk about this journey, and Moto Guzzi production rise a lot due to this adventure. Here in this plane we have some evolution of high CC bike, and that at that period was a premium bike, very expensive on the left. And then on the right you have the cheap bike, okay? Because after the Second World War, a lot of poor people needed to buy a bicycle, so they think to place an engine into a bike, and this is the concept ahead of this kind of bike you see on the right. You know that one is very special. Also because it's my motorbike, and Carlo Guzzi made this bike after seeing the Piaggio Vespa, because Piaggio showed the project, asked to Carlo Guzzi to sell into his dealer, but Moto Guzzi production was very high, so it was not possible. But he understood that was a good project, so he decided to do his own scooter, okay? But with high wheels and with the footrest, okay? And this was a success also. It's around 5,000 euro. Okay, here we're in front of the wind tunnel model. Okay, the wind tunnel is not possible to visit this year, but will be possible next year. Okay, the wind tunnel was made by Carlo Guzzi and his team in 1954. They start to study, to have an idea to do this about in 1950-51, because at that period Moto Guzzi racing department was start to understand the importance of the aerodynamics. Okay, this is the first one made for motorcycle using in the world, and the first ever made in Europe. How does it work? It's quite simple. There is a plane engine in the back that sucks the air from this side. The air crosses this section, and when a fluid crosses a section that reduces, the fluid increases the speed. So the air reaches about 2040, 2050 kilometers per hour. Okay. In the center here, there is the motorbike. They can understand how the bike resists to the fluid. It means that it's more or less aerodynamic. They made to study the plastic part outside the bike. Okay, and then they use also for the mass production bike. Yes, yes. They stop in the beginning of the 80s. It works 30 years because there was two problems: too much power, because this plane engine needs a lot of power, and then the noise. The wind tunnel is, you can see on the picture on the left, in the middle, okay? It's under the mountain, and when you start this, it's like to have a plan outside your window, so the people around doesn't like too much, okay? Yes, before we saw the engine, and now we are seeing the bike. This is maybe one of my favorite, one of my favorite. First thing I can say of this bike is that you must hear the sound, because it's something breathtaking. Okay, 8-cylinder, V8 cylinder, 500cc, 2080 kilometers per hour in 1955. So you must be crazy to drive this, okay? So Moto Guzzi Racing Department made this bike to have an extreme bike to compete. But unfortunately, the cost was too high, so they decided 2 years after to stop the racing. 3 of this bike still alive, and we can see here. We can see the other one in Piaggio Pontedera Museum. Another one is in England, in another private collection. Okay, I invite you next year in Moto Guzzi meeting in September. You will see the new factory, you will see the wind tunnel, and you can also have the opportunity to see this bike when the people start the bike outside the factory. We are in the engine room. There are a lot of prototype and some engine used in racing and in mass production. One of the most important is the 8-cylinder, and later we will see also the motorbike. This was the first V-engine prototype made by Moto Guzzi, because originally Moto Guzzi started to develop this engine for Fiat 500, for a car. Okay, Fiat refused to use this, so Moto Guzzi decided to produce a bike. Here you are seeing the last models made in De Tomaso era, because you know, after Carlo Guzzi and Parodi died, son sold the company to De Tomaso. That was Maserati and Benelli owner. Okay, so Moto Guzzi became a company, a unique company with Benelli and De Tomaso. They made a lot of sport model, and till 1999, when Aprilia comes and buy Moto Guzzi. These are the last model. It's Daytona and Centauro. These are the last 2 models made in De Tomaso era. V11 Sport is the first model made by Aprilia. You know, Aprilia history is a sport bike mainly, so they decided to keep the Moto Guzzi sport bike and to improve the gamma of the sport bike with Moto Guzzi. You know, Aprilia is very strong with the graphic, with the style, with the color, and they decided to also to realize a special bike with Moto Guzzi. With special color. This one especially is red. This is paint in the tank, and they decide to paint the head cover with the ink, a special ink to give this special color. Omo Bono Tenni, that was one of the most important Moto Guzzi racer, with this special color. That was the color used in his bike in the early 30s. Okay. Okay. Thank you for to be here again. I'm very proud to be your guide again. And next year in September, we will show you also the new factory. Okay. This year not possible because of very few things we have still to fix. But I promise you next year you will be able to visit the new factory, the wind tunnel. There will be a great square again in front of the wind tunnel.
Piazza.
Yes, a piazza in Italian. So will be very nice to see, with some trees, many green. The new museum also. There will be the new museum. I'm looking to see you. I hope to see you. Thank you very much again.
Hope to see you next year then.
Yes, sure.
Arkadaşlar izlediğiniz için çok teşekkürler. Marco ve ben şimdi kapatıyoruz. Bizi izlemeyi ve takip etmeyi lütfen unutmayın. Görüşmek üzere. Arkadaşlar bir Open House Moto Guzzi'nin daha sonuna geldik. Şimdi gemiye mi binip gitsek yoksa kiraladığımız arabaya mı binip gitsek kararsızız, çünkü Como çok güzel, göl çok nefis. Seneye 105. yıl olarak açılış var dediler. Fabrikanın yeni bölümlerinin açılışı var dediler. Bizi davet ettiler. Ben de bu bölümü bununla kapatmak istiyorum. Ve seneye yine Open House'da umarım sağlıklı olursak görüşürüz diyorum. Hoşça kalın.